Hey everyone, it's AG here. I wanted to make a video on this once I finally had all my thoughts together and all of my opinions written down, because I sometimes ramble a lot, so I wanted to have like actual notes. So, um, so let's just get into this. So, I've always been a fan of Smash Brothers. I might even say that I'm kind of competent in the gameplay, but I have attempted to literally get everything in every single game that I've played of it. And that is no small feat, especially since some people have gone through all of Melee playing it for years and not actually seeing the final unlockable trophy. Like, that is actually kind of interesting, where you have people that are just, they never actually like play the game more than the actual the actual competitive scene of it. But Smash Brothers as a series has always been one about taking characters from different franchises and mashing them together. This has never not been a good thing for them. Uh, every single time it has happened, they've added more characters to the roster, more storylines to incorporate, more personalities with the characters, more. I want to say more things to consider when talking about actually making adventure modes, but we'll get there. Um, actually, no, we're probably going to have to talk about it now. When it comes to Brawl as a series, Super Smash Bros. Brawl on the Wii, you have this long story mode incorporating each character into different things. The only ones that of the entire roster that didn't get added were like the three characters that were added at the last second. So they had to like put them as like secret unlockable characters at the end, which some people found was kind of iffy. Some people found it kind of neat to make you go back and actually unlock those characters that way. I would have just preferred if they somehow just incorporate it into the story, even if it's just like, even if it's just like adding them to the last cutscene and you have to actually find them in the Great Maze, at the end. But that story mode was really well liked. It was an upgrade of the Melee Adventure mode, which was play through the different worlds that these characters belong in and have thematic moments. Like, Mario has this platforming section. Zelda has this dungeon crawling section. Metroid has this escape from the exploding facility, like in Super Metroid. I could be wrong. I haven't played the game in a while, but I should know that that's Super Metroid. Yeah. But in my head, I'm just like, is it Metroid Prime? It's like, no, I don't think so. Um, but yeah, so they decide that they're gonna make a new Smash Brothers game on the Switch. And at this point, we didn't know it was called Smash Brothers Ultimate, but when they showed off that the kids from Splatoon, the Inklings, were gonna be in Smash Brothers, people were excited, not because Smash Brothers was coming out, but because of the implement implications of having these newer characters added to Smash. They're like, literally anyone could be in, and we don't know what can happen. There were people that were like, "Oh, it's a port," but I don't think anyone's saying that now. They would be kind of They would be kind of stupid if they were. Even if it was a port, it would be the best port of all time because they're like doubling the content of the game and literally changing everything about it, including mechanics. Um, so you're and then E3 comes around. You have not just the Inklings shown off as like what they can do, but you also get Daisy as an Echo Fighter, which is the new terminology that they have of a character that shares the same spot on the roster and usually the same normal attacks, but there is something that stands out with them that makes them unique and their own personal selves. Um, for instance, even though Dr. Mario is basically an Echo Fighter of Mario, his heaviness, his alternate moves, and his differences in pills, you could say that he should have been an Echo Fighter, but he's not because his normal attacks are different. And I've noticed that usually that is the thing that sets an Echo Fighter up as them. They are literally the same up to the special moves. Or the only thing that is different is a cosmetic difference. We'll get to a character that would have been an Echo Fighter but didn't later. But for right now, it's like, what are the Echo Fighters? Daisy, Dark Pit, Lucina from Marathon is like, okay, so anyone that even remotely looks like a character could be an Echo Fighter. This was confirmed later to just be an Echo Fighter has to be of the same series, but I don't think that was ever like fully like said like straight out that we wouldn't have an Echo Fighter from a different series. For instance, if there was a character that also was a well-muscled dude from a racing game, they could be an Echo Fighter of Captain Falcon. But hey, we don't really know because that character isn't out to confirm it. And of all the Echo Fighters that we get through the entire reveal cycle, because now that all the characters are out, we can look at them with like a closer eye as to what they were thinking. They probably had to be a character from the same series, so it would still fit in. So you couldn't have, for instance, you couldn't have like Olimar and then have an Echo Fighter of Chibi Robo with him. Just to name a few, where it's like, they could be similar. They could have some certain powers. They could have almost the same normals. And I just go, but they're not from the same series, so technically it wouldn't have worked. But that's just me looking at things that people have talked about that I may be misconstruing. But then we get a Smash exclusive direct, and in it they reveal Simon and Richter from Castlevania, and everyone starts freaking out, going, "Oh, okay, we're getting new series, more classic series like Simon has a lot of qualities from his really old games, not his new ones, because his new ones, not only is he redheaded, he's basically wearing leather bondage gear, and that's kind of creepy. So no one really liked that Simon. So it is kind of neat that they're going with the old NES box art Simon. And then Richter, who is probably the character that I am going to play the most of, just because I really, really like in America it was called Dracula X, but it's called Rondo of Blood. I really liked that game. I liked Richter when he showed up in Symphony of the Night. I like a lot about him. His demeanor is great. They then showed off two more Echo Fighters, which were Chrom and Dark Samus. Crom being an Echo Fighter of Roy, but had a lot of Ike's moves, which were alluded to not only in a previous Smash game in which they referenced him, but his own games as well. Of like, he's got a lot of similar qualities to those people, but he's not them. He's more of halfway in between. And his sword would have been too short to actually be fully Ike, who has a really long broadsword. And then at the end of the direct, we were shown off that King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong Country series was coming back. Now, a lot of people instantly started making connections because this was a character that was originally developed by Rare, technically. He's been used in other games since Rare left, but he's still kind of this retro character from an era of gaming that we don't really see that often. Because the last really big title he was in was Donkey Kong 64. And if you consider anything N64 and onwards retro, you probably didn't actually play on the console when it first came out. Because that stuff's like childhood for me. And then we had a regular direct that came out later in the year, and which they're like, hey, here's Isabelle from Animal Crossing. Oh, is she an Echo Fighter? No. Why? Well, it's because so much of her mechanics had changed over the course of them making the character that it was no longer an Echo Fighter. A lot of her moves were different, a lot of her maneuverability and normals and specials, they're all different, but they're thematically the same. And if we know anything about thematics, it means that it must include certain things. But when you're just straight up talking about Isabelle, it is actually kind of funny that even in this newer direct, she wasn't shown being hurt at all. I wonder if she's like impenetrable to damage in the actual game. But that's where we stood. We stood there for, I think, about like 2 months. And in internet time, 2 months is an eternity. But soon after Isabelle came out, we had basically 3 separate camps. And these 3 separate camps all said either the same things or roughly the same things. There was only one character that is shared between all 3 of them, and what do you know that character was in? Because it was kind of it was kind of obvious. But let's just go over the different leaks that were actually like leading up into this thing. So first, the concept art of a box was revealed. This box had 2 spaces on it, and this box was shown off just prior to Isabelle being revealed. And when you fit in Isabelle into the final slot onto the box, it means that there was one more spot for a character onto this box. And at first you're like, well, should they have more space? It's because that they had this wraparound thing of like character on one side of the box, character on another side of the box, and they just went like, I think like clusters of 9, where it's like through like 6 and then 3, 6 and then 3, 6 and then 3, 6 and then 3, of just these characters just going down the side of the box. People did some basic math and realized that in one cluster of the newer characters, not from Smash Ultimate, but from Smash for Wii U, one of those DLC characters, there was an extra character shoved in on that. Meaning that somewhere between, I think it was like, somewhere in the general vicinity of Cloud and Ryu, there was a character that was supposed to be there on this box that wasn't there. and people immediately jumped onto the bandwagon of it had to be an Echo Fighter of Ryu, which is Ken from Street Fighter as well. And it was a very solid theory, but then it's like, who is the other character? And now we kind of get this guy who keeps showing up a lot. His name is Vergaben. It's probably pronounced slightly different, and I didn't even spell it on my notes because I couldn't remember how it's spelled. But him as a leaker is interesting. Every single time he talked about something, it is almost definitely in the game. So he was talking about how back at E3, Simon from Simon from Castlevania was going to be in the game, and when it wasn't in it, people were like, "What's up?" And he's like, "I'm just telling you what I heard. I was told Simon, Isabel, Ken, and Cinnamoroar, or at least Simon, Ken." I actually don't know if he actually said Isabel, but I remember them tying in Isabel with a lot of his rumors. He also said that King K. Rool wasn't possible, but skipping both of those characters, he said two things: Minecraft, Pokemon, and Square Enix. Those three series were going to have a representation in Smash Ultimate. Let's talk about Pokemon for a second, and this ties in with the box. There were several characters floating around of what they could do, and by process of elimination of Pokemon that hadn't been in other fighting games, they came down to Incineroar, of the character that was most likely going to be in there, who is this pro wrestling fire dark type Pokemon, which his whole thing is that he is this grappling pro wrestler that basically throws people into ropes, acts like a general wrestling heel, and all types of good things. And they immediately said, "Oh, he's going to be on the box." But Vergaben was like, "That's not it." Well, it's not just that. There is also going to be a Square Enix representative in the game. We still haven't seen that. Even to right now, a day removed from the actual direct, we still haven't heard anything about Square Enix. There's still 2 pieces of music for Final Fantasy. No Square Enix characters were shown off during the direct, even in the thing I'm going to talk about. And at the end of the day, it's really weird that out of everything he talked about that he was certain of, that was one thing that we didn't see. Here. And the final one was Steve from Minecraft. People were like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Look, Nintendo went over to Microsoft, and they were talking with them at E3 about certain things. Most likely, it was to include certain Microsoft characters into Smash Ultimate. At this point, we were like, oh, they could be like trophies or even like assists. So it's like we might get a Minecraft stage. We might get the Creeper as an assist trophy where he just like blows up. He like follows people around to blow up, and it's like, but there's already an item that's kind of like that. We might get Minecraft Steve as a character. Any and all of these things might be trophies. Like we didn't actually know what he meant, but it also extended to, hey, maybe Master Chief could be an assist trophy. Maybe Banjo and Kazooie could be an actual character. And people started going down this rabbit hole of what could possibly be in the roster that they had to talk to Microsoft at a last-minute notice. most likely it was just so that they could get Minecraft cross-platform. But they were still determined that it was about Smash Brothers. So, 2 weeks ago, around there, we started getting rumblings about panic in the Smash development offices. There was a leak out there that they were looking at very closely. And the leaks come out like every day, people with their own ideas and opinions on what characters should be in, throw out there with throw out there making their wish list of characters, and then basically go, I'm a Nintendo insider, I know everything, this is what is gonna happen. And even down to like the way cutscenes are gonna work, modes, characters, what this decrypted spirits mode is gonna be, that wasn't shown off fully in the menu. They like blurred out the word, but like for a split second as it was zooming out from like zooming in on one of the things, you could see the word spirit, like if you like time it correctly with frames and then like unblur the entire image. Like people even got the logo down. They fully decensored that thing. And it led to people talking about what is spirits mode? What could it possibly be? And the first sort of leaks were about like, well, let's take trophies and stickers, combine them together, and do something weird with it. And it's like, that would be kind of boring. Is there anything else? There's an adventure mode, and it might be in spirits. Okay. And that's basically all we had for leaks on spirits. That sounded credible. All the other ones were outlandish, where it's like, spirits is a mode where you can manually shift it to be the gameplay for Smash 64 up until current. And I'm just like, that sounds dumb. Mostly because a lot of the things that people liked about Melee were bugs, and it would be hard to duplicate bugs. But out of nowhere, we get the famous Grinch leak. This leak not only had promotional materials for Smash Ultimate, but it had promotional materials for the Grinch movie that was coming out in the same time frame. The Grinch renders are real. The panorama, like little display thing, that looks real. The only thing that people had a problem with, and the thing that people thought was the biggest downside of the entire thing, was the characters that they showed off in the roster. So I'm going to just list them. Ken from Street Fighter, Shadow from Sonic the Hedgehog, Banjo-Kazooie from their title, Isaac from Golden Sun, Geno from Super Mario RPG, the Chorus Kids from Ribbon Heaven, and Mach Rider from the same series. As a leak, this was a massive roster of characters that, if true, people would have been sad that it was leaked slightly early. Like, Ken, we already talked about as possible. Banjo-Kazooie, also possible because of the ties with Nintendo and Microsoft now, so they could have lobbied to get that sort of thing. Geno, he has always been wanted for years, so it's almost like a dream come true for him to be in. Shadow and Isaac were missing assist trophies that we hadn't seen anything on, and Chorus Kids and Mach Rider were planned for different games, Smash Wii U and Melee respectively, but was cut because they couldn't figure certain things out with their characters. This coincided with two things. One, Nintendo had had recently filed trademarks on almost all of these characters, including Banjo-Kazooie, meaning that they were planning on doing something with him. Especially with Mach Rider, who hadn't had a game since the N64 as well, which made people instantly think, "Oh, what if what if this is just for the fabled Nintendo 64 classic that people were talking about?" And I just sit there and go, "That's possible." And everyone was like, "The Grinch leak is definitely possible," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's possible." You then have people who were still sticking on box theory, people that were like, "Well, Vergaben said that Incineroar was going to be in the game. What about that?" And I just go, "Yep, all of those are possible." And I was super on the fence about literally everything because this is something I've been saying for nearly 20 years now, which is hype responsibly, or at least in different respects. You should always give metered responses for literally everything. I'm kind of boring like that, but when it comes down to it, you should always hype responsibly. Don't attack people that have different opinions on you. Don't go full in saying that one specific leak is true. Don't fall down the rabbit hole of trying to prove leaks up until the point where it now becomes a problem. Because the Grinch leak had a very finite window in which he could be shown off. And like I said, the rumblings from inside the development offices didn't have to be the Grinch leak. It could have been something else. And I think I actually know what that one is, and we will get to that when... I always said that right before I actually talk about it. So, the Direct came out on the 1st of this month, basically yesterday. And the first thing they showed off was a shared trailer for Ken and Incineroar, saying that is the last characters, showing that box theory was correct the entire time, and a lot of people were disappointed. But I just go, yeah, that was the most possible thing. Occam's Razor says that you should always look for the best possible answer instead of... You should look for the simplest answer, not the one that you like, essentially. Because the easiest ones are the simplest ones. And when I say that this leak was this was almost leaked, almost point by point, the way that the characters work, their final smashes, the way that the trailer itself is built up, is almost exactly the same. Almost exactly. Now, what do I mean by almost? So, this trailer is like, Ken fights... Ken is fighting against Little Mac. Little Mac gets knocked out. Incineroar then challenges him. They then fight. Ken gets knocked out. Incineroar gets challenged by Villager, King K. Rool, and Bowser Jr. The leak for this, which was probably the leak that Nintendo was actually worried about, was a text post literally detailing the exact same thing, but the reason why Incineroar jumps in was to fight off the Koopalings, which showed up right before there. Everything besides that was true in the leak, down to the fact that he summons ropes, throws someone into it, and then gives them a lariat on coming back on like precise timing, like stuff like that. Like all of that was basically leaked, but the one that was the actual, like, full on, this is what's going to be in the story leak, had one thing off, which made me think that they were probably just a really lucky guess. Like, it was like, oh, and they kick your little villager, and then, like, someone else, like, comes to fight them, and it's like, okay. I wish I could have found it, but, like, I asked a bunch of people around, and they just didn't know, which leak I was talking about, because it was months ago, back before we got Isabel, and people were still kind of worried. And then they show off the banner, and here's the interesting thing. We've actually seen both of the renders of Ken and Incineroar. I am not kidding when I say that someone had actually leaked the render of Incineroar before. They had also, and the image for Ken was the exact same image of the Grinch leak, which makes people instantly think, were there fake renders out there? Did the printing companies for certain things not even get the full information and then get told last second, use these ones? I don't know. Like, because the only way for the Grinch leak to have been possible is if someone that was actually working on promotional material took every single fake render of characters, sprinkled them onto the map where they reasonably could have been, and then just leave it there. And just go, yep, those are all possible. People were really hoping Isaac could have been in because there were so many connecting points of why Isaac could have been in. I mean, why refile the trademark for Isaac when he hasn't had a game in years is kind of a dead series, and on top of that, you were just going to make him an assist trophy anyway. But we'll get back to that. They didn't show off actually Spirits mode. It's they said that they wanted to move away from trophies because trophies as a 3D model were really hard to make, and they took up a lot of space onto the actual disc. So at the end of the day, what they did was that they they basically made a massive amount of stickers, might melt them together, and said that these are essentially equipable things that you could put onto a character to change the dynamic of certain battles. But here's the coolest part. They showed off what these spirit battles... let's actually talk about spirit first. So, these spirits you can equip, and then onto spirits you can even equip more, like, supporting abilities. And all of these things coming together amps up the character. So you could go up against battles with preset characters that have these conditions. And the way you increase these or do things with them is almost like a mobile game. Like, it has rarities of, like, different things that you could put... rarities of different spirits. Some of them being really powerful, some being kind of common. There were spirits that were from many different franchises. Basically, anything that had a sticker or a trophy in the previous games, yeah, they're a spirit. What was the... Oh, yeah. There's like different things where you could train the different spirits so they become stronger, send them out on like missions to like gain more gold that you could use in the shop to buy various different things. You could use them to buy other spirits, you could use them to buy music and other different things. People think that it's where alternate costumes are going to be because they keep showing off that Ridley has a Meta Ridley skin, but he doesn't have room on his roster for that. Yeah, he doesn't have room on his actual like character wheel for that. So people think that it's going to be an alternate skin that you have to like unlock and find, which might be interesting. But they never showed that off. So that's all up in the air of like what's going on with that. Maybe they weren't done with like certain aspects of meta really, and so they didn't want him fully being out there. Um, there's also like a weapon triangle system where it's like sword beats grab, grab beats shield, shield beats sword, and you're supposed to use these for battles. These battles are very thematic of whatever series it's going to be in. So let's just take two examples, which are drastically different, but you sort of get the point across. So you have Lakitu as a spirit. The way that they show this off is that they have Iggy Koopa and three small like Bowsers. They're red Bowsers and they act like Spinies, and you have to defeat all four of them to get a chance at getting that spirit. These spirit battles are kind of interesting, especially with the second one, which is the imprisoned from Skyward Sword. You have a black King K. Rool that has a health bar, and you have to whittle that down while also fighting off the Girahim Assist Trophy. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I can see how this could be kind of interesting. Like, I can't remember which one was Shantae, but Shantae is a spirit, and like I can like think about like what they would do, what they could do for like literally every character out there, which basically means at the end of the day there could be a Waluigi spirit in which you have to fight Mario, Luigi, and Wario all in their purple outfits while also fighting the Waluigi assist trophy. Stuff like that can be really funny. It's just like, if you want Waluigi, here you go. Here are all four Waluigis. Yeah, but this is a really great way to get random franchises, random characters into the spotlight, which makes me think if there are Microsoft characters that are in these spirits, what could they be? What would you do for Master Chief? What would you do for Banjo-Kazooie? What would you do for Square Enix representatives? What would you do for like all these type of things? Is there a spirit for like weird tertiary characters from the series as well? Because there was one for Hal Emmerich from Metal Gear where it was just Dr. Mario and then a large metal Rob, and I'm like, that's funny. He's doing a Metal Gear. But then it's like, oh, like what other franchises that are like we couldn't include this into it, so instead we added a bunch of spirits from that series. They did that with Xenoblade 2 because the development for the game ended and they started going to actual production of it when Xenoblade 2 came out and people were really hyped about that game, and it's like, sorry guys, how about you just have a Mii costume? How about you just have a Mii costume to help you out? And people were like, kind of. But that gets me into assist trophies, kind of skipping around a little bit. I'm going to get back to the online play in a bit, but the assist trophies and the Mii Fighter outfits show characters that could have been actual characters, but they instead decided to only do these two more characters, making this the least amount of characters revealed since... I think Brawl had the least before this. I'm not sure, though. I could be... Because I know... it's either Brawl or Melee, and I can't remember which one's which. But if yeah, so it would be the least amount of newcomers into the series. I'm talking about it. I'm talking about it both full characters and Echo Fighters. But the assist trophies that are important are here's Shadow, here's Isaac. Okay, here's the Black Knight from Fire Emblem. It's like, oh, okay, that's where he went because he's one of the characters that people were thinking could be an Echo Fighter, mostly because the map that he is known for being on, he wasn't there anymore. Sorry, I keep picking my nose. It's like really irritating me right now. And so he was gone. And then they showed off Guile, which all he does is just defend back, which was a viable strategy in old Street Fighter 2. And people were, and there were a lot of people that were just like, yes, thank you for that. And then they showed off the main character from Fatal Frame. Like, she pulls out her Obscura and she just takes a picture, freezing all the people inside the little camera window in place. And I'm like, that's great. That is actually a great inclusion of a franchise. I mean, she definitely wouldn't have been able to be a character, but that is the best that they could get, essentially. The Mii Fighter outfits that we get were Chibi Robo, Custom Robo, Rex. But we also get Labo Man, so that really dumb leak of the little Labo stick figure guy that like moves forward with vibration. Yeah, he's in too. He's just a Mii Fighter outfit. Oh wait, no, it's not really him. It's the robot Labo kit, and it's just got the VR stuff on. He's got like the yellow jumpsuit from the game. He's like, yeah, I'm fighting with my Labo. It's like yeah, that's that is the character I'm going to be playing as. They get into online play a little bit before this, in which they show off the new how they're doing matchmaking and lobbies. It was actually kind of interesting. Considering that they're learning from their other games with like ARMS, where it's just like, here is a bubble, move your cursor into the bubble, you are now part of that game, or you'll get matched up. And this whole visual description of how these things work is very neat. There's also customization options where it's like, here's a little like dog tag looking thing, and the more victories that you have, the more your dog tag is worth. The higher your smash power, the more your little dog tag is worth. So when people defeat you, they get a copy of that dog tag, and they could sell it for points as well. Or just have like, I beat this YouTuber, and it's sitting on my stuff, and it's like, yay. Stuff like that is actually pretty neat. There was another customization option that I can't remember what it was. Oh well. Hopefully it'll come back to me. I forgot I actually write it down. They showed off DLC. The Rex and Pyra outfit is a bonus for getting the $25 bundle of all 5 of them. But they said, hey, we're just now working on DLC. We haven't even started on any of them. We haven't even like finished which characters will be DLC, which means the characters that weren't confirmed, could still possibly be in the game. And people are like, oh, Gino got disconfirmed here. This is where Isaac got disconfirmed. We still have no idea if Square, anything about Square representatives. We don't know anything about Microsoft representatives. We don't know anything about Ubisoft representatives if they're in the game. But we do know that the Rabbids from Kingdom Battle are spirits, which is kind of interesting. I can't wait to fight against Princess Peach with rabbit ears, and that's the entire spirit for Rabbit Peach. Oh, this is. So you have this situation now where it's like, so what's the DLC? A character, a stage, and their music. Each one is about $6. Each one is $6, or if you get them in a bundle, $25, meaning that you save $1 on each one. Essentially, they confirmed that these are brand new fighters, no Echo fighters. Meaning, if they want to add Echo fighters, it would have to be free DLC, maybe. Which sounds kind of interesting. But at the end of the day, it's like Sakurai basically just sits there and goes, I'll never be able to take a break, will I? And it's like, sorry, dude. But then he goes, for pre-ordering the game, you will get this one character free. He will then be available as not the first DLC in this bunch, but you could then pay $6 to get it. And it's like, okay, what is it? So we now have Piranha Plant as a character, and everyone just drops their leaks drops all the leaks onto the floor, just going, no one guessed this character. And if they did, they would have been laughed off the face of the planet. And it's like, yeah, he's your pre-order bonus, and everyone just goes, oh, that's another assist trophy I forgot to write down. Springman is also in the game, and there's a Mii Fighter outfit for him. But either way, like, all of the stuff basically goes, what could be the DLC? And everyone goes, Banjo, Geno, most likely. And it's like, and everyone's like, there could still be some. Mach Rider could still be the DLC. Chorus Kids could still be in the DLC, even though we did see spirits. Just because something is a spirit doesn't mean that it's locked out from being DLC. Considering that there is like there's alternate versions of Mario, Luigi, and Peach in as spirits, we don't know what they're gonna actually be. Like, probably like like, we don't actually know like what's up for the DLCs yet. But at the end of the day, we do know one thing. Spirits is actually an adventure mode. Like, people like wrote it off, like almost realizing by the time that they're showing up the DLC, we still don't have a place where the bosses show up. Oh, we're gonna get an adventure mode like right at the last second, and they're like, it's like, how did all these spirits come to be? What made it so that they separated from their bodies? And everyone was like, okay, let's see what's up. So, World of Light is this story mode that they included, in which the first thing you hear is voice acting from Fox, from Star Fox Zero, and everyone just like sits back going, okay, what's going on? More characters have voice acting, including Pit, which I'm actually surprised at, because I'm actually surprised that they were able to get like Pit, because I thought like there was a problem with the voice actors like not being able to come back for some of their roles. They had to actually recast Palutena, because the voice actor from the actual game was like unionized and they couldn't like grab her or something. Like, I don't know everything about that, but I do know that if there is more voice acting, more cutscenes like that, that could be interesting. I forgot to actually look. That's gonna like slow down my computer a lot. Now that I clicked on that. I have no idea what the Elder Tide Pod thing, like floating out in the middle of the sky, is, but it controls the Master Hands. and it's sitting up there, and it's being a menacing boss. It then literally murders every single character. There were some really good humorous moments where it's like Duck Hunt Dog, Villager, and Wii Fit Trainer are like, "What are we gonna do?" And then just get steamrolled. You have the Inklings diving into. Yeah, you have. I'm sorry, my computer's freaking out. My you have the Inklings like diving into the ink, going, "This will protect us." Is like, it doesn't even protect you in your actual game. What were you thinking? You have a Snake hiding in the box. It didn't work out either. All these characters like trying to find some way to like make it out, and none of them did, except for Kirby, because Kirby is Sakurai's character. It was one of the characters that Sakurai made himself. So it's obvious that like he would include Kirby as the main character once again, like he did in a Brawl Subspace Emissary, which he even says is nothing like. This mode is going to be nothing like Subspace Emissary. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better, and everything is going to be great about it. I was like, we hope. And then they show what it actually is. It is an adventure mode where you go from node to node. So like going out at this like spiraling pattern, all trying to reach the final boss, which is most likely achieved by having all of the base roster. Since you literally start only with Kirby, most likely the first characters you're going to grab are the rest of the starting 8. So you have other characters to mess around with, besides Kirby. But here's where the spirit battles come in. Every single node is a spirit battle, unless they are the actual character or a boss. And the boss is usually at the end of a section that is reminiscent of them. Which makes me think that basically every series is going to have some boss, which makes me really excited for when you get to the end of when you get the Cloud, and it's like, here are all the Square Enix representatives, and you're like, oh, and then you have a fight with Sephiroth, like, and that would just be great, if they did something like that. Things like, are they going to just have like Giga Bowser from like Melee be the boss that of Mario's area, and then you get Bowser from that? Do you, when you get to the end of Yoshi's area, do you have to fight the boss from the end of Yoshi's Island? I couldn't remember if Yoshi's Story or Yoshi's Island. I was like, at the end of Yoshi's Island, the large baby Bowser that you fight, and then you unlock Bowser Jr. or something. Do you have to unlock each of the Koopalings separate? Looks like all of the are Echo Fighters unlocked at the same time as the other characters. Is going through spirit modes and fighting these guys a method to unlocking the characters besides just like fighting enough on certain maps and putting an amiibo down onto the Switch to unlock a character? Like, we don't know that much details, but we will know in a month when the game comes out. Its launch trailer might get showed off at like at the Game Awards, since it's like the day before. And this looks like hours of content. We finally got a lyric version of the title music, which I don't actually know the name of it, but it sounds pretty neat. So my nose keeps acting up, and that's where it just ends. It's like bosses are in this, all these things are in this. Look forward to it. Coming next month. And Sakurai kind of smiles off, going, people were so excited for a fake leak that this is the thing that they're going to take away from this. Because all of the characters got confirmed, all the stuff. But the one thing that didn't get leaked was the World of Light mode, which, like, there were some sections in which Pokemon Trainer uses the spirit of Lapras, which makes me think that like all 151 of the Kanto Pokemon will all be spirits, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna take a while. I don't want to fight Blue Bowser to get Lapras. Oh, that's most likely what's gonna happen. Blue Bowser with like a water-based move or something. With the ice. Yeah, with the little with the icy things you throw at people. And I'm sitting there at the end, and people are like, you know what? That saved it. And I'm like, yeah, it should save it. It's really exciting. Oh, the memes that came out of it were great. Of just like different characters from random different franchises doing something and then just basically getting obliterated. And it's like, oh no, it's the Thanos snapping meme all over again. And the large thing in the sky, and all these things is like, oh, all of the memes from this year are coming back and they're all coalescing into this game. And I was sitting there at the end and I'm like, this is an awesome direct. And it made me want to make a video on it. I was originally going to make a video on the other Smash Direct and also the E3 one, but both of those videos ended up kind of going sour, so I never actually ended up making them. But my final opinion is that this was basically a highlight of the year, is all the Smash Brothers stuff. Like, I have been looking into every leak, into everything, and at the end of the day, when I look back at those leaks, the only thing I could think of is that people are excited for Smash. The Game Awards are lucky that this isn't in the same year as a lot of other big titles. If this was if this was Black Friday, people would have lost their minds. Like Black Friday, Smash Ultimate comes out. People get it in droves. People are like knocking down like Nintendo's door to get more copies. And it's like, that could have been like a panic, and it could have been like, oh, this game that came out at Black Friday is just overshadowing all the other great games this year. Speaking of other great games this year, who knows if I'll actually finish that review that I've been working on, but hopefully it comes out by the end of the year. I'm planning on like 3 more games talking about. I had an idea for like a Halloween video, but that fell through. And I'm just sitting here, and I think I've been recording for about like an hour and a half now. Sort of rambling on. I would give this a gold medal. I had fun. A lot of people I know had fun. I'm gonna love playing Squad Strike, which is the 3 versus 3 mode with my 3 favorite characters in the world, which are gonna be Richter, Falco, and Mr. Game to Watch. Just going in with those three characters, going, okay, fight me. I'm ready for this. Um, I really want to stream the story mode. I really do, but I'm still building my streaming computer. I just got the power supply. It's sitting over here. I don't want to pick it up because it's kind of fragile. But I'm currently looking into getting the motherboard. I have to get some other stuff, and when everything is built and everything is set up, I'll connect the Switch to it, play some Smash Ultimate, maybe some Diablo 3, or Mario Kart, whatever I feel like it, and just dive right into the story. Like, uh, I might also do some Pokemon stuff, but I don't think I'm gonna hold off on actually starting Pokemon until the computer's done because that comes out on my birthday, and I'm gonna enjoy that game. I'm gonna enjoy everything that comes out this year, and final notes. Hype responsibly. Uh, don't believe leaks, especially in if it's a source who has also a source that might be someone at Nintendo. I don't know. Um, don't don't sit there and say I could never be wrong, because you can. You'll always be wrong if you have that sort of mentality. And finally, have fun with games. Always, always enjoy the games that you're playing. If the game is deliberately bad, you can't do anything about it, but you should just sit back, relax, and just have fun. You're never, you don't see people write, people would write college theses on the room, though. Um, you don't see people sitting there going, here are the many reasons for why you as a person should never enjoy this game. Like, if someone enjoys a game, let them enjoy it. They're having the little bit of fun that they're getting out of it. But Smash Ultimate, they said that the DLC could take, like, the last piece of that DLC could be out by, like, February 2020. And it's like, that is, like, 2 years of, like, Smash, like, being relevant. And we don't know if it's going to have Echo Fighters in between. We don't know if that's the end of the DLC. That's just the end of the past that they're currently bringing out. We don't know if there's going to be like an update that releases like a bunch of new spirits with like a few Echo Fighters. We don't know anything about the game, but it's going to be a ride when it comes here. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to give my impressions of it when it comes out later this year. And that's probably going to be like the last game I'm going to review. It's going to be like a Christmas special or something. If you want Piranha Plant for free, make sure you buy it before January. Or Feb. No, it's good. Yeah, it's either free up until February or January if you own the game. Make sure you buy it physically, because that thing's going to be a lot of data. There's going to be a lot of storage, and if you have something else big on your Switch, you're not going to be able to play it effectively. What's one more thing that I can leave this out on? I got nothing. I'm going to just end it there. Bye, everyone.